ahead. Our matchup, I teased it. We got a Lux currently at 2-0, piloted by Hellsky, going up against Mastershien on Kaisa. This is going to be a spell slinger bout between the two. A lot of mind runes here, and we're looking at those battlefields. We've got the obelisk and the sigil on the side of Lux, trying to make sure that there is a lot of energy going through for that side, whereas a little bit more aggression with the Reckoner's Arena and the Windswept Hillock on the side of Mastershien.
We also are seeing the Void Gate from Kaisa, so big units or units that are just above that break point that Kaisa spells like to have do not stand a chance if you're at that battlefield.
All right, let's take a look at the first deck list. It is going to be Kaisa, and it is looking very standard. This is almost exactly, again, that Kuvi Kaisa build. More and more, we're seeing the Cleave main deck. We're seeing the Darius, and it is a very, very powerful list. But this time, having one main board, a Cathian Rain, and having the Thermo Beam, the Gear Hate in the sideboard, looking out for any Dazzling Auroras.
Yes, Dazzling Aurora has been a card that has made its presence known straight away from the release of Origins. Having that Thermo Beam just to play around that, I like it being in the sideboard. If they have it in game one, you can deal with it from then on. But yeah, lots of spell, lots of removal in this deck. Now, moving over to the Lux.
Yeah, this is what I was really excited to see, because Lux is a Proving Grounds deck, but it hasn't seen the same success that we've seen from Yi or even Annie having some really good performances. So how do you build your Lux list? And this is how we're seeing Hellsky do it, with a lot of these 5 and 6 plus power energy cost spells to try and get the draw out of Our Lady of Luminosity. You've got the Blast of Power for battlefield removal alongside the Fallen Comet, two different sides of the same coin, but one hits any unit, one is just a certain amount of damage. And there, I love the Recruit the Vanguard as a way to get on board but still draw with the Lady of Luminosity ability. And I think one of the key cards we have to watch out for is this Time Warp. Will it be able to get cast to seal up some of these games? Is a massive investment, 10 energy, 4 power to get there. But these energy conduits, these mana rocks, are included to try and get her there. I love this build. It is very unique, and it has been able to find those early wins. So let's jump right into the action to see how this Lux can take on a Kaisa.
And we are on the battlefield. We are starting with the Reckoner's Arena. When you hold here, activate the Conquer effect of units here. This is going to be very good with the Kaisa, Red Kaisa specifically. On Conquer, you draw one. And as we have seen before, Targon's Peak. When you conquer here, ready 2 runes at the end of your turn. Good for these spell-slinging decks.
Yeah, it's perfect. As we are going to see these starts, we can go ahead and take a look at these mulls. Let's see what's going on here. I'm especially interested in this Lux deck, right? I mean, look, no offense here to Mastershien in the bottom side. We've seen this Kaisa deck before, right? But this is maybe a first look at Lux for a lot of people, and it looks like immediately. I mean, Energy Conduit, Watchful Sentry, Sprite's Call. These are some really great early starts for the Lux, and I'm curious if that Singularity is even kept as a way to deal with Kaisa later on, as Ravenbloom will be the kickoff for Kaisa.
Yeah, Singularity, very, very strong card. However, it has obviously got that cost behind it to balance it out. Also, you don't have to target units at battlefield. So they play that Kaisa to the base, maybe try to keep it a bit safe. All that Darius that we saw in hand. Singularity is just going to kill it. It does not care where you are going to take the damage. So we see the Ravenbloom students being pushed up onto the Targon's Peak. Uncontested, gains the point, and remember, he can get 2 runes readied up at the end of his turn.
Oh, just gonna drop the Kaisa? What's crazy? Singularity could be cast right now to just mop this up. Because of the energy conduit, I think you do too, actually. Because Kaisa is the best target you have for it anyways. But instead, it's just gonna be the Sprite's Call. Try and send the Sprite in to just deal with the Ravenbloom for free. You get the Conquer, you're gonna get some runes back. Maybe this is a little bit more measured of a play, keeping runes available for the future. And it is just going to be keeping 5 up here. I believe Energy Conduit is reaction speed. Is that correct? I haven't seen that very frequently.
So,
but yeah,
Energy Conduit is a exhaust. It is a reaction, and you add 1 energy to your pool.
There we go.
So, we see the Falling Comet coming straight out.
Yep.
taking out the Kaiser.
Deal 5 to battlefield at action speed to a unit out of battlefield, and it's 5, so it triggers the Lux to get the draw for Hellsky. I now the play with the sprite makes way more sense than ever doing the singularity, right? Drawing into that comet to be able to deal with the Kaisa in response to it getting on board. I just phenomenal, as we are going to get now another Kaisa, this time played accelerated from hand, and that will get a draw for Mastershien.
So I've got a question here. Would you have pushed to the other battlefield to get the draw too? Because you know that sprite is not surviving there. It's a temporary card, right? It's not surviving.
I do think he needed the Targon's Peak trigger. He has spells available and wanted to be able to get that online to make sure that he could respond to anything trying to come in. But we are just going to get the Cull. Cull coming through with a Soaring Scout. So going to be able to refund the power cost there and deal with the Kaisa. This Lux deck already showing that it's got some legs. Really, really exciting build, especially when you're getting to start the game going second with Energy Conduit. I think that is just such a powerful start. We know how good mana cheats and energy cheats can be from other games, and showing that it does work really well here in Riftbound.
Yes, so obviously starting with 3 going second, you play Energy Conduit, which gives you 1 energy when you use it as a reaction. So the following turn, you can play a 6 energy card on turn 2. You can't really do that unless you have an Obelisk for other decks. So a very strong turn 2 capability to play spells. So we're seeing the Lecturing Yordle push up to the Targon's Peak here. Just waiting to see a response from Mastershien. He's potentially looking at a response. He's hovering some runes. So after he... Oh, he's going for the Hex Ray. So 3 damage. It is a 1 energy, 1 recycle to deal 3 to a unit at a battlefield. So it's the issue with some of these Kaiser cards. Your units have to be at battlefields. Some of these Lux cards that are actually being played in this Lux deck, you do not care where they are. We saw the Singularity being played. I don't think we saw it in the deck list, but Lux's champion spell is 8. That's a second Energy Conduit.
Yeah, a second one comes down. Okay, what I want to see though.
Yes, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. I want to see it too.
Advantage here from Lux, but how is she gonna win? Is now the question, right? Like, you have all this energy, but what are we gonna do with it to actually close this game? And let's take a look at the hands here. Let's see. Lux only having Singularity and Blast of Power. Both of these will cantrip because of Lux's ability, right? These will draw cards. So yes, she's not as tapped out as she looks. However, those aren't conquering battlefields. Those aren't scoring points. They're just clearing things away. And Kaisa, the way Kaisa plays is it puts a bunch of junk on the board, cantrips for more junk, and keeps scoring with the junk. So this is kind of tough because now, I mean, yeah, we're using a Singularity to clear a 2-drop and a 4-drop when really it's usually used to clear some very large units.
Yeah, I still think you're getting great value out of this, though. You're getting the draw.
You draw.
And I will say, the one thing that I was going to mention before that I thought you were going to mention, Lux does not have an exhaust cost. If you play another 5-cost spell, the Lady of Luminosity will draw you another card. There is no limit to how many times that card can draw you cards in a turn. So there we go. The Lady of Luminosity. When you play a spell that costs 5 or more, you draw 1. We see the third energy conduit.
It's too much. It's such a bad draw.
It's so bad, but it's really funny.
It is
like
very funny.
Like, we've never got energy problems ever on the side of Hellsky.
So you know how you said you can draw infinite times. This, or at least, you know, infinite times as long as you can cast spells that cost 5 or more. This Lux is going to have 15 energy. So you could loop 3 cards in a turn if you have the 5-cost spells to play. Unfortunately, a lot of the spells cost 6, so you're not quite going to be able to do that. But this is just an insane amount of energy advantage.
Okay.
I'm so curious if this payoff can get there and Lux can actually win the game. Because as I said before, the big cost spells that remove, they don't win the game. They just try and get you to a board state that wins the game. And right now, Kaisa is going to be at 5 points potentially here with the Sprite Mother coming in.
So I also want to mention that we do have I think it's Lux Luminosity. Oh, no, sorry, Lux Crown Guard, which also can add another 2 resources. So, potentially, this Lux deck is generating... Did you say 15 before? So that's an extra 2? That's 17. 17
That's
energy?
true for spells. Yep.
And if we play a card like, for example, Time Warp, that's 10.
Exactly.
We have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, you have 7 left to actually like play units to the board and then warp instead of the normal way of warping where you have control, you play warp and the game ends, right? But actually, because there's so much energy, you can play a bunch of cards, then warp, then move your stuff in. This is such a funny deck, and it's the kill on the Darius. Like, you have so many resources up because you have so much energy you can't spend it all, which means that you can always keep up these ranges of removal that your opponent can't play around. You have too much energy. It can't be played. You just have to say, all right, if you have this thing, you have it, because I can't sit back and wait and hope I can figure out what's in your hand. You just are always floating 6 or floating 8. And it's like, all right, well, whatever you've got. And here come a bunch of units. Maybe this is the part of the Time Warp payoff as well. You just make a bunch of recruits.
So we have, just going over what the previous turn was, we have Blast of Power, which is I'm fairly sure it is a Proving Grounds card.
It is, yes, in Lux deck.
Yeah, so we have the Proving Grounds card of Blast of Power. We have Recruit the Vanguard, which is a Proving Grounds card. We have Lux, both the Champion and the Legend being Proving Ground cards. We are seeing how strong these cards can be. Did we just Void Seeker a recruit? Yes,
no, it's a lecturing yordle, but basically the same thing, right? I mean,
yes. Sorry, yeah, he was hiding within the battlefield here. Yeah, so I'm really curious because I've just noticed there is 4 cards in the hand of Lux now. That hand, that's better. I like the Watcher.
Here's some payoffs, right? Here's some win cons. Like, the Watcher's ability, probably not super useful, but a 7-drop with Accelerate, pretty good here. Pretty nice that you actually want to do that. The Sprite's Call and the Sentry, fodder to try and grab a couple extra points. You've got the Blast of Power to deal with another Darius if you need to. I mean, it's getting there, and you have all these recruits to try and grab the points when you actually remove what Kai'Sa has, and that Time Warp looming, when it gets found, it's not even an if it gets found, it's a when, because she's cycling through the deck so much, drawing cards with the sentries, and with every single 6-cost spell.
So, we're seeing a response here. We're seeing the Blast of Power come back out. So we're killing that so he doesn't go to the 6th point. He must have been listening. He knows how dangerous that 6th point is. I've told you about it over the cast. You do not want your opponent to get that 6th point. It did feel like a lot of energy. Oh, the second Sprite Mother. Sending that readied Sprite straight to the battlefield. Yeah, looks, unfortunately, even with all of those energy conduits, doesn't have an answer. So, does manage to get to the 6th point.
That's the thing. I mean, Kai'Sa is on a huge clock here, and even using the Falling Star on 2 recruits because you just have to. You just have to start removing some of this stuff. The clock of the Time Warp is very real, and the clock of just not being able to get on points is real, but Kai'Sa getting to 6 is so huge because she has so many ways to play double accelerate and score, right? Sprite Mothers, Kai'Sa, Darius. These are ways to get immediately on board and score both locations into Spellslinger decks who don't have board presence. And so we'll see if Hellsky can actually deny this, if they can stop the double conquer from coming through that Kai'Sa is so desperately looking for.
Yep, so we see the push of the Watcher. This Spriteling would be at 1 might, as the 1,000-tailed Watcher reads, when you play me, give enemy units -3 might this turn to a minimum of 1. We are seeing Shakedown as a response, a 2-mana 1 recycle as a reaction. You choose an enemy unit, deal 6 to that unit, or its controller draws 2. So
important to show hand size here just quickly. 4 cards for Mastershien, 4 cards on the other side for Hellsky. I think you may just have to let the draw happen.
We see the Watcher as well on the side of Mastershien there.
Yep, and it is just draw 2, but Kai'Sa is going to get that full refill because of it and can look for more accelerates. And you called out, right? Has the 1,000-tailed Watcher. That's 1 of 2 accelerates necessary, but also there's a unit sitting back here that could potentially just close things out for the double conquer.
Yes, so the that Watcher comes down, it's going to be accelerated. because you can afford it. So this Sprite Mother can fight these 3 might from the side of Hellsky, so he can trade there. Unfortunately, he would need another unit to close out the game. So maybe Kaiser's going to have to go for a different angle here. But we can see that Lux has 6 energy available. You are not worrying about running out of energy in this deck, especially with 3 energy conduits. You can develop, you can do your turn. And interestingly enough, we still haven't seen this Lux Crown Guard come down.
Yeah, it seems like there hasn't been time, always trying to hold up enough resources to play a spell. And so not able to kind of compound that by having the Lux sit in the back line and add that extra 2 energy each turn. I think, Hellsky being on the back foot the entire time because Kaisa is just so fast, right? She's so fast getting on a board, getting those points, and immediately we're just going to see a smoke screen deployed.
Oh, and now following it up with a Void Seeker, getting that extra draw.
So not looking for Thousand-Tailed Watcher yet, but is going to put the Shen out to defend this location. In response, I like this play. Get the 5 might tank on the board. Now, it is only a 3 for the purpose of spells that Kaisa might deploy right now before trying to enter, but at least keeping a presence on the board to not let it be taken for free. I like the idea. Gonna send the Sprite Mother in.
We know she has a smoke, they have a smoke screen.
Yeah, we do know there's a smoke screen.
There we go.
It is going to be deployed.
So, unless there's a response from Hellsky, which seems like there is, we are seeing the trying to get the name of that card. Sorry, the Sprite Call. Summon a Sprite. So the Sprite survives. The tank on the Shen means that the has to be killed out first, but the Sprite will die at the end of the turn, so we won't get the hold points because of the temporary keyword. It's going back to Hellsky's turn. We're on 5 to 6 points. So Hellsky is holding on. It's got no points for Mastershien last turn.
Yeah, still though, this looming threat of the double conquer. There is a unit once again with this sentry, so just 1 accelerate can potentially close things out. Take a look at the hands. Double Soaring Scout is not what you want to see for the side of Hellsky. Just going to have to play those down, but I don't think there's going to be any way to win here once the Watcher hits the board, with that being the hand. It looks like things are wrapped up from caster vision, but we'll see if that out is found, if that's exactly what Mastershien goes for.
We finally see the Lux Crown Guard come down. A very weak unit. Normally sits at the back of the base, just generating you energy. So, as of next turn, we finally hit that 17 energy that we were talking about. We'll just have to wait and see how his draw is going to go. Ideally, you need a 5+ cost spell into a 5+ cost spell into another 5+ cost spell. It can be done. We just have to wait and see. We know that they've got the Watcher in the hand for Mastershien. Goes for the push here. Goes to the 7th point. We know what's about to drop. Here's the build up. 8 and the recycle 2 for an accelerated Thousand-Tail Watcher. Pushes everything's might down by 3, so it's currently 4 to 7. And no response from Hellsky. Mastershien takes game number 1.
Yeah, a couple of rough top decks at the end of the game for Hellsky does end up costing finding those Soaring Scouts at just the worst possible time, and that is going to be a game 1 victory for Mastershien on that Kaisa, doing everything that he's supposed to do, right? Getting on board very quickly with a lot of the little units, just trying to score as many points, set up to get to that 6, so that then you can play for the accelerate win. And just really well done on that side. And the energy costs, we just never saw the payoff, right? So much energy built, but then it's to play 2 Soaring Scouts at the end of the day, not actually finding that Time Warp, not finding some of those other larger cost units as well. The Harness Dragon's, of course, not so great for the game, but I'm curious, Marshall, if there's any sideboarding that can be done on, I guess, especially the Lux side to deal with Kaisa, maybe some other threats that can use all that extra energy to get on board and play around the spells.
So immediately going into this, we can just talk about the 3 energy conduits. They kind of did exactly what they wanted. The only downside was a bad draw. I think we're keeping those. There was one thing that we saw in this that I think we're getting rid of. I think it's those Soren Scouts. We know that we can get enough energy. I don't think we need these Scouts. They're only ramping us. We don't need ramp. We need draw. We need high cost cards. So if we look at the sideboard for the Lux deck, hopefully we should be able to see some cards that we can swap in for here. We can see Cull, and we can see the Sprite Mother. I think those 2 cards, there's three cards there. We just take out the 3 Soren Scouts, and I'd put those back in.
I think the issue with losing the Soaring Scouts is you're only playing the 6 drops that you can play on 1, which is the Soaring Scout and Sentry. And so if you lose your ability to get on board early to try and get some points yourself, and even just contest with the small units that are being played on the side of Kaisa, it will hurt quite a bit. But I agree with you that the Scouts feel not so impactful in this game because you have so much energy. I do think Sprite Mother needs to come in. I'm actually curious if you're going first, Energy Conduit may be coming out. Losing the game, I believe you get to pick if you want to go first or second. So side in the Sprite Mothers over Energy Conduit. Go first, try and play into one of these 2 drops, and then go from there is maybe an option. I am really curious to see what this side ends up being. Maybe you can take out something like the Riptide Rex, but I feel like you did need just some big units to put on the board, and Riptide Rex is absolutely a big unit.
Yes, definitely. I will say though, knowing that the Lux deck has these really heavy high cost removal spells, I really like the idea of this retreat card here.
Oh,
this
yeah,
retreat
love
card
it.
Is very good for when they spend all of that energy to do that one thing. You just respond 1 energy, hey, this card's coming back to my hand, I'm going to use this later.
Well, it's great, and it also ramps you, right? So it's actually such an incredible card. It is definitely, I agree, it is just a sideboard card. I don't think that Retreat can make many main boards, but I absolutely love it in the sideboard of a lot of these blue decks because it is just really efficient at kind of countering out an opponent's spell cast. You basically 1 for 1, but you get to keep a card for later and ramp so that you can replay it a little bit easier. So I absolutely love Retreat. I think it should come in. I think something like a Cathian Rain can come out. You don't need that big of a spell. And potentially even Falling Star, you can actually take a copy of Falling Star out because there's not that many targets that it's useful for.
I fully agree there. I think that's an excellent choice of how I would edit this deck. That Cathian Rain is definitely not doing it in this matchup, especially with all of the cards that kind of want to die. Those Sentries, the Soren Scouts. You've not really got good targets for your Cathian Rains.
I'm very much looking forward to how this next game goes. The Lux deck was very cool to watch. We could see the payoff coming up, right? So we had all the recruits on the board. We had just like infinite energy, as you said, 17 once the Lux comes down that you can use as long as 2 of it is on spells. And the Time Warps are in the deck. We just didn't see them. And so that is the big thing I want to see in this next game. I want that setup. I want that payoff once again, but this time maybe we get to see the Time Warp, score a couple of those extra points, and close out the game for the Lux.
Yeah, no, we were all kind of rooting for the Lux. We like to see these underdog decks perform well, and it got to like the dream of what it wants to do. If we saw like a Time Warp there, we could have seen a completely different game. And with 2 copies in the deck, it is likely that we will see an appearance of that card at some point.
Yeah, it was cool to see also just that the deck was able to kind of pair up okay into Kaisa, because it's certainly not constructed to beat Kaisa, right? It's playing the Riptide Rex. It's playing a lot of extra big removal to deal with big threats, and Kaisa just plays a bunch of little stuff that wants to die anyway. And so really, you just have to hope that you can take out the Dariuses and the Watchers and the Kaisas and still have enough of your own little things to prevent the caps. But we are going to see Lux going first and deploying a Sentry. This is exactly what you want to be doing in this second game.
Yep, and just to quickly go over the battlefields, we have the Windswept Hillock, which we have seen plenty of today. Units here have ganking, and we have a new one for today, the Fortified Position. When you defend here, you choose a unit. It gains shield to this combat, which means while it is a defender, it gains 2 might. So we can see the Sentry being mirrored from the side of Mastershien, and going back over to... it's not Angel, Hellsky, sorry. We have Energy Conduit coming down, making its appearance for game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good start for Lux, I would say, as well, right? Like, you needing to get on the board, get a point early, actually even going into the fortified position, so going to be able to potentially defend against any units. I guess the Sprite would trade, but it won't score for the Kaisa, which I think is really important. And so we'll see if that can actually do enough here for Lux to get some early points on the board and continue to play that really strong removal game by having this energy conduit.
And fortified position, I would really like to know. I assume this is going to be the Lux battlefield that's been brought. It's a very good battlefield to have because most of the time your opponent is never going to get value because their defense, the trigger for it is only when you push a unit onto that battlefield. If you kill it with a spell, that unit still remains at that might. It's the same that we talked about before when we talked about defense cards. It's the same aspect of that card. So even if this like Kaisa pushes onto here, and yes, this Kaisa theoretically has 6 might, it doesn't really when you're casting a spell onto it.
Yeah, exactly. So it is going to push here, and this Sentry is just at basically 3 might. Doesn't even matter though. The Comet just going to clean up Kaisa easily. 5 damage at that battlefield. Get the draw from the Lux trigger to replace itself. And you're just winning out this trade, right? You used 1 card to get rid of your opponent's 1 card, but you replaced it. It's why Kaisa's so good, right? Because a lot of her stuff cantrips. But this is the same thing for Lux. It's just it costs a lot more, which is why these energy conduits come in, and they're paying off nicely.
Yes. No, we also see a replenishment from the Electring Yordle coming down from the side of Kaisa, but back over to Hellsky, getting that Sprite call, pushing the Sprite onto the Hillock, killing the Sentry, so the Sentry's going to draw. And as we can see now, Hellsky's at 4 points, doing it a load better than he was in the last game. Oh, and we see a call.
I love this synergy.
Yes, perfect value. Knowing that
I mean...
Oh, sorry, go on.
Ahead. I was just saying that even though it's just a Lecturing Yordle that gets taken out, which is not the biggest value, I love the synergy with the temporary units to be able to use the Cull and actually just deal with a unit after you've already gotten value out of the Sprite for taking the point and clearing off a location. I mean, this is just really great synergy. It just shows that Hellsky's like very comfortable with this deck, knows exactly what the plan is, clearly has been playing a lot of Lux and really believes in it, and is showing some of these cool synergies that you can do with these color combinations, and specifically with Lux with having so much extra energy.
Yeah, and then so we see the Kaisa getting accelerated and pushed onto the fortified position. No energy available on the side of Lux, but that will never be the case after this turn. This Lux is fully online. We have the energy conduit. We have the Lux Crown Guard. We're going to be having 9 runes. This Lux is going to be blasting all of the spells. This Kaisa does not stand a chance on this battlefield. Speaking of which, though, we don't actually know what they have in their hands. Let's take a peek. We have the Time Warp!
Yeah, the Time Warp is there. There's removal with the Blast of Power available to deal with the Kaisa. So recruit the Vanguard and then the Time Warp as a follow-up is really, really great. So we're going to be able to see a lot of points get scored. And the big question is, can Hellsky get up to the 6-point threshold? Because you can just win immediately with that Time Warp afterwards by being able to double hold a location. As we are just going to get an Energy Conduit, big tap out to just play out the Thousand-Tailed Watcher, get to save the spells for removal because this will clean up Kaisa nicely.
Yep, so the Watcher's going down. Everything has been given -3 might to a minimum of 1 on the side of Mastershien. So he very easily takes out the Kaisa. We are at 5 points. The token then dies. The Sprite Link has the keyword temporary, which means it dies just before Mastershien would gain the hold point. And we are just waiting. We know what's coming. We can see it. The question is Mastershien going to play around it?
This is so nasty because there's enough energy to cast the Time Warp, but then also the Thousand-Tailed Watcher will come out after that, right? Because there's another one in hand, which can be used because you'll reset all of your runes and you'll be able to play this, which is so crazy. But that Acathian Rain does get deployed and does deal with the Thousand-Tailed Watcher, so it ends up not siding it out, and it ends up paying dividends here, being able to deal with one of the bigger units.
Yep, unfortunately for Hellsky there, he lost that Thousand-Tailed Watcher. We know he has the secondary one. We see that he has a total of 11 energy available. So it's just deciding on what he wants to do. We see a recruit the Vanguard. He sees that his opponent's on 5, as I say. 6 is the key number for being able to basically do whatever you want. Because you know that your opponent cannot win next turn. However, you can't really say that about this Lux deck. With that Time Warp in the back, 4 is the scary number. So we just need to see what's going on and how he's going to be preparing for that.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this, right, all Lux needs to be able to do is score 1 point on the next turn. If they can do that, they can cast the Time Warp, follow it with the Thousand-Tailed Watcher, and double cap to win.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting turn to see if Mastershien can play around that. We see 5 energy tapped, which is a Darius. If he plays another card, this Darius will accelerate. But it seems like he has potentially passed over the turn. Okay, we have a total of 11. We're seeing a Hidden Blade.
That's big. Hidden Blade is great. It's cheap, so you can still afford the Time Warp after this.
Yeah.
So you get to push a recruit on. Like I said, you just have to score 1 here. If you score 1, you cast the Time Warp. This is going to be curtains. Here it comes, the payoff for this deck. 6 points. More than 10 runes available with the, or 10 energy available with the conduits. Time Warp comes down.
We're seeing the recycle 4. He gets a brand new turn. In doing so, have we got to see it get played out, or is the opponent just going to, is Mastershien just going to FF and go next?
Well, he doesn't guaranteed lose unless there is some kind of accelerate here because he's got the Raven Bloom. But as soon as you see that Thousand-Tailed Watcher come down, there is certainly nothing at 4 runes that can be done. At least I don't think. I don't think there's anything at 4. Maybe Smokescreen. No, because the -3 should be able to always get there.
Oh, the Riptide Rex!
Don't even need it. Riptide Rex, not even going to chance the ability of multiple spellcasts pumping this up. Clear it away. Send in 3 little dudes.
Push up a recruit. Do you have an answer? And I'm going to do this 3 more times, so you better have 3 answers.
Oh, this deck is so cool. Really, really awesome to see.
There we go.
Hellsky
We see the FF. And Hellsky takes game number 2, using that Time Warp to secure him the final point.
And now we're immediately seeing what this deck is supposed to do, right? There's the payoff immediately. I was talking about how, establishing 4 recruits is so good for the Time Warp. You just need to kind of grab these little points here and there, and then you get to the point where it's like, I just have to score 1? Because you can win from 4 with the Time Warp, and you ramp to that warp so quickly. It's really just about, can I get something on board to guarantee that I get these points at 4, and then push again to get the last 2 points? We saw it from 5 this time around, but that was really all that was necessary, and that's just such a cool deck. I love Time Warp as a card. I brewed a lot of promising future Time Warp stuff. Lux does it the simple way. Ramp with energy conduits, hard cast that spell, and just go for it.
Yeah, no, let's just say, I wanted to see it, and maybe it was a bit biased there. I wanted to see the Lux get at least 1 game win. Now that we've seen it once, can we see it again? Can we see the starter deck beat what people are probably calling the best deck currently in the format?
Yeah, and I mean, it feels like this isn't the matchup you would want as Lux, right? It feels like Kaisa could be a struggle because of the fact that she sends all these little things to score very quickly and then wins on accelerates, when your removal is best targeted at large units. But we saw the application of Sprite's Call, the Watcher, or the Sprite Mother being able to deal with some of the smaller units, and I think that having the fortified position was actually kind of nice. It doesn't really help that much against Kaisa, but it was just kind of a one-sided effect for the Lux in this game.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. It seems like such a powerful card in both players. Like, both players have this Thousand-Tailed Watcher, and it seems like it's like, okay, I have a really strong board, I've got my units thing, I've got my spells ready, Thousand-Tailed Watcher comes down, your plan has to change, you have to adapt to this card that changes the entire battlefield. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to play around cards differently. Now that they know that this Time Warp exists, is Mastershien going to stop them from getting these early points? Are they going to throw spells at them more often? It's going to be interesting to see how the playstyles are going to adapt between game 1 and game 2.
We're jumping into this game 3. Sigil of the Storm and Void Gate. Sigil of the Storm actually really going to be annoying for the Kaisa. You have so much extra energy on the side of Lux that your opponent having to recycle runes when they conquer is actually pretty annoying for them. And it doesn't bother you as much when you're conquering it.
Yeah, definitely not. We've seen that this Lux really does not care. And we get another top... You get the turn 1 energy conduit. If we're doing it, this Lux deck is getting exactly the cards that they need early on. So, pushing up with the Sentry onto the Void Gate. For those that don't know what the Void Gate is, spells and abilities affecting units here deal an additional 1 bonus damage. So, very strong for Kaisa decks. And we see Kaisa Survivor come down, not accelerated, just entering the base for Hellsky. Sorry, Mastershien.
Just going to be the Lecturing Yordle on the side of Hellsky. Just going to cantrip that. Try and get a unit on the board. 3 more. Just going to do another one. So just setting up, drawing a bunch of cards. This is going to seed a lot as far as early scoring. Did completely tap out. So Kaisa will be able to conquer for free here. And it will be a point from the hold. So this is going to be Kaisa getting out 2-3 points extremely quickly. And it will be up to the Lux to try and turn this around with the rune advantage that they will have from the energy, especially with the recycle having to come through from Kaisa.
Yep, Kaisa's not going to enjoy that. For those that don't know, the Kaisa legend is Daughter of the Void, and if you exhaust it, you get a reaction to add a rune that you can use, but you can only be used for spells. So unfortunately, it doesn't interact with the Sigil of the Storm there, but that would be a cool interaction if it did. So we're seeing Kaisa tapping her runes now. Sorry, not Kaisa. Lux tapping her runes. What are we going to see Hellsky do? Oh, pulling back the decision.
I mean, certainly have to remove the Kaisa, but there are 3 units out here, which is tough. I like the initial cast of the call. Just try and start clearing something away. Maybe there's a follow-up Singularity. It would be the exact amount here. It's like tapping everything out, and that's going to be a Singularity for sure. No! In fact,
Riptide Rex. We love the Riptide Rex.
But just going to remove the Kaisa. Not going to be able to deal with the Yordle. Does get a good board wipe. A little bit costly when it comes to power. And this Lecturing Yordle still going to push this to 4. The breakpoints of 2 are pretty scary, because if Kaisa can go 2 and 2, this game is over. So going to have to find a way to deal with the board once again as Kaisa gets to refill.
Yeah, Kaisa now at 4 points as well. Very, very scary. As we're seeing 4-0. Lux is falling behind quite quickly here. We're seeing units being thrown onto the board by Kaisa, so they're picking up these points. Just having a quick look at the hand. Wow, look at the hand difference here. 4-8 is that? That's a large difference. And we see in the time warp. We have the Recruit the Vanguard. I feel like as the Lux player, you have everything you want here. It's just going to be a struggle with all of the answers from the side of Mastershien here.
Yeah, it's almost not even the answers too. It's like you kind of are going to run out of removal for the Kaisa, the Darius, and they're all accelerating. So you can't necessarily stop them from scoring all the time. They will score some amount of points here with those accelerate units. It'll be very tough to just prevent it with not having enough resources. And well, we're even going to just see the smoke screen deployed here to make the Riptide Rex trade. And it looks like Hellsky decides to bite. Sends this in to try and save the Riptide Rex, but that is going to tap him out going into Mastershien's turn.
Yeah, very costly turn for the Lux player. Loses both the unit and doesn't get the point. Uses a removal spell that you're going to need later on. It's very, very rough for Hellsky right now.
There we go. This is just going to be a double conquer for Mastershien. We know there's a Kaisa in hand. I think that's an easy deploy. Get the extra draw.
Yep.
Put yourself to 6 points and just try and close out the game. But it looks like didn't decide to accelerate the Kaisa and just passes. So not pushing to the 6 breakpoint. And I wonder if that will give enough space for Lux to come back. Singularity going to slow this down. Be able to draw back up and still having, the recruit spam and the time warp available to be played soon enough.
Yep, Lux getting that extra draw, pushing the Soaring Scout to the Void Gate, trying to avoid that Sigil of the Storm so you have to don't have to recycle. I was going to say, do we finally see the first point for Hellsky? But
absolutely
no.
not.
Kai'Sa saying, no thank you. You can channel a Rune Exhausted and I will draw a card. You will not gain a point. You have not passed go. You may not collect 200.
And I think, you know, with Kai'Sa continuing to just cantrip every time, right? Draw a card when sending these cards. It is so much extra value. We saw the card lead of like 8 to 4 cards at one point here, and being able to just get this Darius in ready, score up to 6. Now that breakpoint of 6 is here, and you're gonna have to figure out how to beat it.
So we're seeing 7 energy being pushed there, recycling 2 for the.
Sorry, and it's
8.
just the retreat.
Yeah, so there's the retreat value. That was the. There we go. That was the sideboard card that we were talking about. Excellent value here. Actually pulling it in, seeing the value. We gained the point for Hellsky, but it's not enough.
Yeah, and it pulls back Darius, right? And this is at 6. Only 3 resources up. Most of Lux's removal does cost 5 or 6. You can just score immediately on to the Sigil of the Storm with the Sentry, and the Stupefy does turn on this Darius after it's played, so it's up to 7 into 6 because of the Stupefy. Shen gonna try and deny some of this, but there's still so many runes available for Kai'Sa.
It feels like Kai'Sa is on a train, and there is nothing stopping this Kai'Sa from going to those 8 points. It feels like Mastershien has just got the perfect hand for this matchup. He's figured out in Game 1 and Game 2 how to play around this Lux deck, and he is taking that game knowledge into Game 3 to secure the victory here.
Alright. Does end up just having a Void Seeker.
So
Just
this will
send
trade.
That. Yep,
7
it'll make the Darius trade.
Mastershien getting up. Seems very excited. Oh, it looks like a surrender potentially. Yeah, we do. Yeah, Hellsky has
just
surrendered.
Gonna be a scoop. Hellsky decides that he's not going to be able to get there, so it is just going to be the scoop. And that is Mastershien taking it on Kai'Sa. Still, very cool performance out of this Lux deck. Getting to see that Time Warp cast for a win on stream. I think that's something that any Lux fan out there should be really excited about. Maybe take a look at this list, play it a little bit, see if you can even refine it further. Maybe there's more to be explored with the Lux, but this was a really cool take, and we'll see if Hellsky can actually still continue on through this tournament and have a good performance, right? Already at 2-1. There's still the potential for top 8. I don't think you have to win every single game to make top 8, so just gonna keep having to fight through and see if they can get there. Kai'Sa seems like a relatively tough matchup for the deck, though.
Yeah, definitely. If out of all of the matchups that you want, you definitely don't want to go against the Kai'Sa. So maybe going into those sets, those Yis, you can take advantage of those spells, especially Yi. If you're playing Lux and all of these Yi players looking for these, I need to defend, I need to hold the battlefield. You don't care, you just throw these spells at them and you'll have a much better time.
Right. Well, that is going to do it for me and Marshall on the desk here at Riftlab Trials 1, but there are still plenty more rounds to go. Make sure to stay tuned. T-Mac and Silent Knight are taking over next for the next few rounds before the top cut. So thanks for watching. We're going to go to a break, and there's more of the Riftlab Trials when we return.